Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to update the firmware on your Godox iT30 Pro. I have the Sony version here in silver, but the procedure will be exactly the same no matter which version you have. For example, Sony or Nikon, Fuji, Olympus, Canon, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do is just verify the model number and firmware that I have on this unit. So I'm going to go ahead and power it on and then go into the menu by clicking the button here and click on the three bars. And then scroll all the way over to the end where we have device info and tap on that. And I can confirm I have the model iT30 Pro S and firmware version 1.05. Now to update the firmware, we're going to need to connect the iT30 Pro to our computer. However, and this was brought to my attention by one of my viewers, so thank you very much for that. The cable that comes with the iT30 Pro is not a data cable, so you can't actually connect this to your computer to update the firmware. This is for charging the internal battery only. And lately I've been getting in the habit of labeling my cables where I got them from. So you can see I have Godox here and then iT30 on the other end. So I know that this is a power only cable. So I had to dig up a data cable that has a USB-A to USB-C connector, just like the original does. All right, on a side note, the way you can tell the difference between a data cable and just a regular power cable is usually the data cables will have a much larger head on them, like this cable, as compared to the one that came with the iT30 Pro, which is about half the size. Now, that said, the cable that came with my V480 flash is data capable, and yet it has the same size head as the one that came with the iT30 Pro. So this one is not data capable, and this one is data capable. And really visibly, you can't see any difference. The difference is in the wiring inside. But again, rule of thumb, if you have a larger head on your USB-C cable like this one, it'll be significantly longer. And also, if you see a blue color inside the USB-A side, that's a very strong indication that this is data capable. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go to the Godox website, godox.com, and then over here, I'm just going to hover over support and then click on the firmware menu. And then over here, I'm just going to type in iT30. And then from here, I can download the software for my particular flash, which is the iT30 Pro S firmware. So we'll click on this download link, and then I'm going to save it to my desktop. And it downloads pretty quick. So from here, all I have to do is go ahead and open that file. And you can see two files in here, and I'm going to extract those, again, just directly to my desktop, like so. And now we're in the folder for the Godox iT30 Pro software. Now let's go ahead and open up the firmware instructions. And we're going to scroll down here to the English version. And it says, please update the firmware with Godox firmware update G3 version 1.1. So if you don't have this, you'll need to download that. So we'll do that next. And then how to check the firmware version, we've already done that. And then the upgrade method as explained here. So after powering on the device, enter the menu, find the device information, connect with the computer USB-C cable, and then click on firmware upgrade. And then there's a second method. In the powered off state, press and hold the menu button and then insert the USB interface to connect the computer and proceed with the upgrade. So I'm going to be using method 2, upgrading the firmware from a powered off state. And as you recall, I'm already on firmware version 1.05. So I'm going to go to update with version 1.06, which disables a long press touchscreen unlock function. And then over here, you can see the date of the firmware release. And it's also highlighted in red to just sort of indicate that this is the latest firmware. All right, so let's go back to the Godox website. And I'm going to click on the firmware drop-down menu over here. And then click on firmware launcher installer. And I'm going to look for the G3 launcher for Windows because I'm using a Windows laptop. So here it is here, Godox G3 version 1.1 for Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and download this to my desktop. Just click Save. And then when that's done, I'll go ahead and open that up. And this is, again, a compressed file, so I'm going to extract everything just back to my desktop. And then this is the folder for the software. So here is the user manual in Chinese. So I'll open that. And then let's scroll down, and there should be an English section. And there's some very basic instructions here. It says, please discharge the device before updating, move the battery and push on off. So that actually doesn't apply to the iT30 Pro. This is more for like other flashes like the Godox V480, etc. And then number two here, connect the device to the computer with the USB-C connection line, appropriate type. So it has to be a data cable basically. And then from here, we're going to open the download or firmware file, and it's going to be end in a .bin or bin file, and then the model number will be here. And then it says you can get it from the official website. And here's an example of the TT350P version 1.2.bin. And then the last thing here is just, they should have put this first, just telling you that you can download the software and firmware from the official website, www.godox.com. All right, so as I mentioned before, I'm going to be using method 2. So I'm going to make sure the flash is turned off. And then I'm going to plug in the USB-C side directly into the flash like this. And then I'm going to press and hold the menu button here. It's this button in the middle. And then plug in the USB-A side directly into my computer. And then we'll see the screen pop up that says upgrade. So now we're ready to go back to the firmware update software. All right, so let's go back to the folder where I extracted the update software. And we're going to go ahead and click on the application. And then I'm going to switch to the English language down here. And then we're going to select the update or firmware update file here, which is the iT30s v1.06.bin, and say open. So we got open file success, and then again, a confirmation of the file name with the model number and firmware version, and then we're going to click on update. Now, on a side note, if you click on the update button and you get a message like this, please connect device, and you're sure your flash is connected to your computer via the cable, then it's most likely that that cable you use is not a data cable and only for charging, or you're connected through a USB-C hub of some kind. You want to make sure you connect a data-capable USB-C cable directly to your computer so you don't get this message. Otherwise, you should get a progress bar. And then once that's done, we'll get an update device success here. So we can go ahead and exit out, and let's check the flash. And before we go to the final steps, if you like this video and you want to support the work that I do here, you can use the links below to buy me a coffee or make a donation and find great deals on photography accessories. Now, during the update on the computer, the screen here didn't change at all to indicate that it was communicating. So let's go ahead and unplug the USB-C port, and then we'll power the flash on. And we may see a little ring here that tells us that the hot shoe is updating, and then we'll get the OK. And then we'll scroll over here. And then let's go into the menu and check if the firmware was updated. So we'll scroll over here, device info. And as you can see, it says version 1.06. So we're all set. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching and your support, and I hope to see you again soon.